is currently about 11:30 at night, and I'm driving home from a function, an event that I was just at. This event was experimental electronic music. Specifically, it was of the nature of a style of music called musique concrète, which is this almost atonal music. And I'm making this video because I wanted to share this sort of faint insight, this sort of faint vision vibe that I gleaned from my time tonight. And this insight, this vibe, is that events like that are, in a way, they're like the peak of human potential. They're like the peak of novel experiences. They're like the peak of novelty. It's so interesting when you get a room of humans together from all different walks of life, and you come together to share an experience that no one's ever had before. All of you are having this experience at the same time for the first time, all sharing this experience on this art. We're all collecting together to witness art in creation in real time. And there's just something so magical about that, right? And so I just wanted to talk about that. There's just so many aspects that go into it. One of the main aspects I wanted to talk about with this is kind of the human persona and presentability in social situations. So for this situation, I wore some clothes I've just never worn out in public before. I wore some kind of flashy clothes. I don't know if you can really see it tonight in the darkness, but yeah, I'm wearing this sort of fun paisley type red shirt and some of my best sneakers and etc. And like, yeah, I think that there's just something so interesting about all that, you know, like, you know, going to a function of socializing, of art showcasing, you know, we're all gathered there for a purpose, and that's to witness the art. But it's so much more than that. There's so much more depth to an event like that than just the art. I mean, the art is huge, but it's just providing the vibe, you know, it's the vibe for even more, you know, deep experiences to be had. And it's not just the art, you know, it's the intermission, it's talking with the other guests, you know, in between, or, you know, right beforehand, before the art even starts, in anticipation of it starting, you know. And that socializing aspect plays a huge role in the vibe of these events. And then there's the post-mortem, you know, after it's all over, talking again. So you get like 3 chances to talk if there's an intermission. And, you know, that socializing, there's so much going on in socialization. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, like, you know, everyone's showing up with different, like a whole different realm of perception, you know, that they're bringing with them, and that they're coming from this whole different paradigm, this whole different world from yours. But all these worlds are just colliding in one space under this novel moment where one or two of the people there, right? Those are the artists. They're the only ones who know what's about to happen, what's going to be showcased, but they don't know the totality of what's about to happen because they don't. Well, first of all, because it's being made in real time. These guys, at least, they're making their stuff in real time, so you don't know quite what's going to happen. But they've been practicing their craft, so they have an idea of what's about to happen. But we, as the viewers, if we haven't seen them before, we don't know. Unless you have, and then there are probably some people at the function who do have more experience, who have seen these people. Well, I happen to meet the girlfriend or the partner of one of the performers, so of course she knows more about it than I do. I didn't know I didn't know either of the performers, and so there's just so much going on. But going back to the persona, right? So everyone's showing up with different style. And it's wow, style. You're providing conversation pieces, what you wear in and of itself. It's kind of it's another thing to talk about. It's just it's just a swath of vibes going on at this social function. There's just so much input. There's so many vibes happening. It's such a conglomeration of the past, of past events are all everything, that Boards of Canada, they talk about this thing in their songs. It's the past inside the present, the present moment carries with it the vibrations of the entirety of human history and beyond, it's all right here in the present moment. At least a part of it, it's been morphed, of course, right? That's what the present moment does to all the energies. But you there's lingering, amounts of all the different parts of the universe in the present moment, that all came from the past, but yeah, so it's the clothes you're wearing, the style you're bringing there, there's that aspect that's enriching the senses, and there's so much more to talk about that than just that, right? Because then there's why are you dressing like that? Some people, you can dress to impress, or you can dress for different reasons. You can dress just because you want to feel good, that makes you feel good. You can dress because you're socially awkward or anxious, and I don't know, there's literally infinitely many reasons that you could dress up for a function. But there's that whole thing, putting your fit together, putting your drip together. And that's the other thing I want to talk about was there's something about socialization is that I want to get into more. It's just slang talk. I love slang talk, and there's just something so fascinating about that. It's it's just so rich, slang talk, and if you don't know slang and then you find out someone uses some slang and they just use it in a passing sentence, just sort of casually, and you're God, dang, that was smooth, and what did that even mean? And or maybe you do know what it means intuitively by hearing what they said, and then it's just wow, it's just so much novelty going on. So there's that slang thing, and then different people probably have different slang depending on who they are, and how much they live under a rock, or what what the trends are that they're following, or or what their world is. That all contributes to all that, so we're all bringing our unique personas into this place, and then the place itself is providing some heavy vibes, not heavy in the sense that depressing vibes, but serious, some chunky amount of the vibes are just coming from the place itself, there was this moment that I was talking with some people, and we were all under this red light because that was like the main lighting, you know. So it's like lighting such a big part of the atmosphere, you know. And just like this video, you know, the lighting's probably a big part of the atmosphere. You know, it's contributing to, you know, how this experience is. So yeah, the lighting, you know, the how big the space was that we were in. We were in an indoor space, so, you know, whether you're indoor or outdoor, it was kind of like this, like, almost hole in the wall kind of place. And then there was trippy visuals going on. That was just part of the artistry. That was just part of what the artist had conjured, had created. So you got that, you know, and then it's like, and then there's, you know, everybody's bringing all their associations of their entire past with them, right? Because that's just the psyche. So then when you have conversations, it's like, well, you're connecting over, you know, probably at first, like, the art, you know, what just happened, what just occurred, but then you can start connecting over, like, you know, who you are as a person and who they are as a person, and, like, you know, all that stuff. And so, like, it's just like such a conglomeration of vibes, you know. And yeah, there's just so much, and you can make a big part of your life can be sort of about making those experiences that much more rich for yourself, you know, depending on, you know, how much that's important to you. Me personally, I'm a pretty solitary person, you know, at this point in my life. You know, that hasn't always been the case, but I've always kind of leaned that way. But now in my life at this point right now, I definitely am heavy solitary. You know, that's just where I'm at, and I'm kind of naturally an introvert. So going to this event was very sort of, you know, it was new. It was new for me. It was different. It was, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that it was extremely pushing any sort of boundaries for me. Like, it wasn't like I felt really nervous going to this event, but, you know, I am kind of a socially anxious person, but I'm just so used to it at this point, so it's not really anything new for me, that aspect. But yeah, it was really cool. And then the spaces that they took us on, you know, it was like a voyage. It was like a deep space voyage that we went on, you know, into the vibes of the artistry and the craft that was unfolding before us in our ears, in our ear holes, and on the visual screen. You know, it was a multi-sensory experience in every sense of the word, right? Because, like, language in and of itself, you could almost think of that as like a kind of sense, you know. It's like a pattern. It's a very specific frequency of the universe, right? So that's what I'm talking about when like the socialization aspect of these events. It just adds so much depth to it, right? It just brings the whole part of, like, culture and, like, who we are as humans and language, you know. So you got that part, and then you just got the abstract sound going on, the artistry. You got the uniqueness of each person there. You got what they chose to wear that night. And scent, that's the other one I forgot to talk about. And I don't wear scent because my household doesn't, they're very sensitive to scent. So I'm trying not to use scents, even though I have a bunch of essential oils and all this stuff. But I'm just trying to be careful and respectful, you know. So you know, I love scent. And that just, you know, the scent contributes so much to the overall vibe you're, like, sort of giving off to the people around you when you go to an event like this, you know. So you got your scent, you got your style, you know, what are you wearing, you got how you talk, you got the slang you use, you got your whole past, you know, and that's forming a huge part of you as well. But then you're also forming yourself actively in the present, kind of like the artists are actively, you know, forming their work in the present, in real time. So, you know, it's like you don't know what you're gonna get, you know. It's kind of like that. The same thing with your own self, with your own actions in the present moment. And so, yeah, it's so interesting. I went through so many vibes, so many esoteric spaces in that event, and it was pretty incredible. There was some, yeah, it was a roller coaster, that's for sure. Whew, yeah. Lots to talk about. But I think that's enough for now. I hope you take with you some enrichment from this talk of vibes and social functions. Maybe it gets your mind swirling and thinking, cooking a little bit. Or maybe it gets your heart cooking in a good way, warming up, or it gets your heart moving. So you're inspired, in other words. In any case, I hope you took something positive from this. And if not, it is what it is. It always is what it is. And thank you for listening. Peace. Cosmic Dweller. Cosmic Traveler.